Hey, what's up guys? My name is Harshal Mavani, and in this video we take a look at pass by reference and pass by value in general, and then we'll answer the question, how does Java behave? Is Java pass by value or pass by reference? This time definitely not in 5 minutes, so no star this time. But yeah, let's get started guys. Let's begin our discussion with the easy one. Let's talk about pass by value. Suppose you have two functions, one being the main function and you're calling another function which is say add from the main function. Then how does pass by value work? Let's have a look. So we have our public static void main over here. Now inside public static void main, let's say we have two variables, int a is equal to 10 and int b is equal to 20, and I want to call the add function. Let's say the add is again static in nature, so we don't need an instance. Add a comma b. So if I do this, what's worth noting is that when the execution reaches the add function, let's have a look what happens. So here we have our public static void add. Inside add, we have passed a and b over here. So here this a will assume the value of 10 and this b will assume the value 20. Now if within a I try to modify the values in such a manner that a is equal to 40 and b is equal to 50, even after doing so, the values over here in public static void main remain unchanged. So when the execution comes back over here after completing the public static void add function, when the execution will come back over here, and suppose I put a system out println statement over here, system out println statement to print the values of a and b. So we have printed a and b. In such a case, the answer over here will remain 10 and 20 and they won't change to 40 and 50. This exactly is pass by value. When we have pass by value, the values are passed as copies. So the original value is not passed to other functions. So in this case, a and b are copied. So we have a new copy over here, which is a and b over here. And those copies are changed while the original a and b remain unchanged. This is pass by value. If we try and execute this program, we'll get the same output that we just saw. We will have 10 and 20 and not 40 and 50. So I guess it is safe to assume that Java is pass by value. Is it? Let's find out. Before that, let's try and understand what is pass by reference. Well, pass by reference is the behavior exhibited by a particular programming language, wherein when we are passing a reference from one function to another, say like an object or an instance, that instance in the second function, that is in the called function, that is the changes will be reflected in the caller function as well. Little confusing? Let's have a look. So I have two functions, once again the main function and an add function. Don't assume this to be Java, say this is some other programming language. I create an object O, so object O is equal to new object. I call the add function with the newly created object. So over here when I do add O, this particular O over here will assume the value of this O. So what if I write some code over here that will modify the value of O? In such a case, if this change over here is reflected back over here, so if this change over here is reflected back over here, that is, this is the called function, this is the called function, and this is the caller function. So if changes made in the called function are visible in the caller function, then that language is said to be pass by reference. So I hope that's very clear what is pass by value and pass by reference. Now let's start our investigation as to what is Java. Is Java pass by value or is Java pass by reference? I have this small program typed out over here. Let's try and look what this program suggests. So we have a class dummy. Each dummy will have only one ID. So each dummy has its own ID. That's it. Secondly, we have the pass by reference class, which is our main class in this case. I create an object dummy d is equal to new dummy. I assign an ID to d, that is d.id is equal to 15, and I'm just printing the value before call. So obviously this output over here will suggest that id before call is equal to 15. Secondly, after assigning the value and printing the value, I'm going to call a function change id. So what's happening in change id? Change id is doing nothing but the object passed to change id will actually change the id. So object.id is equal to 10. So in this case I am passing d, so object over here will be equal to d, and when I do object.id I am doing nothing but d.id is equal to 10. And if I am saying system out println id after call d.id, this is the question, that will it print 15 or will it print 10? Now with the last example with the number a and b and 10, 20 and 40, 50, we safely concluded that Java is pass by value. So in this case, if that's our assumption, over here the output should be id before call 15 and id after call 15 again, because as I said, pass by reference is the phenomenon when we call a different function, try to modify that reference, and if the change is visible in the caller function, in which case the caller function over here is pass by reference, then that is pass by reference. So, and since we are so confident that Java is pass by value and not pass by reference, I'm very sure that this call over here should result in no changes. So let's find out. I have my CMD over here. Let me just compile my program. I have java c space pass by ref dot java. Let's run it. Java space pass by ref. All right. So once again, if I want to revise my concepts, it should be 10 and 10. I'm very positive about this answer, and let's see, it has to be 10 and 10. So it's 15 and 10. Oh, I'm so sorry. It should be 15 and 15, but it's 15 and 10. This is exactly why I have trust issues, guys. So let's try and find out why we have 15 and 10. So let's go back to the code.